Here we are. The Jets have some receivers visiting this week. We have Mike Williams visiting. We obviously have Davion Clowney visiting, who's another solid player, and then Tyler Boyd, I believe, visits tomorrow. So a lot of news surrounding around wide receivers. Maybe we'll be live tomorrow, talking about the Jets making a signing, or even better, tonight. Hope to see some more moves, more good, solid moves by Joe Douglas, as he's been really solid this free agency. My guest is fellow Jets content creator and New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com, Paul Boy Green Eston Jr. Let's go.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend, Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Here we are. Jets have some star players visiting. Hopefully the Jets can make a new addition to this team. Personally, I really like Boyd. I like these guys out on the market. And I definitely, with now that we got all these tackles down, I would really, 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 really like to go weapon at 10, whether it's Bowers. I hope Odunze will fall. I really want Odunze. I think he's a really solid guy. I think Boy Green's having some technical difficulties a little. I think he just came out, so when he comes back up, I'll definitely add him and then talk some Jets. But let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Braden wants Jackson Powers Johnson. I really like him, but good to see you in the chat. Good to see you, Raymond. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all the listeners out there also. But thank you for coming in, Italian Eddie Ralph. I appreciate it. Wildwave, really good to see you. Braden, can we get Boyd and Williams? I think the slim chance, but I think that's I'm not gonna say impossible because anything could happen, but I think that's very slim. Thank you for the sub, Italian Eddie Ralph. I really appreciate it. We just hit 500 the other day, so I appreciate it. And here he is. Let's bring him on the show. Boy Green, how you doing tonight? I appreciate you finding some time for us.
Of course, sorry. Yeah, I tried to do the phone thing, wasn't working. So hop over to the office while I can. So excellent, of course.
So glad to have you. I mean, last time you were on the show, we were kind of scheming. Can Tyron Smith work? You hop off, take a break for about an hour or two. We come back on, and you're live, I'm live, we're all live. I'm calling into your show. Everyone's doing. Jake Asman's live for 3 hours. The Jets community is going crazy after signing Tyron Smith. So let's start there, and then we'll get into the guys visiting and stuff. I really like the contract, the $6 million guaranteed, I believe it was, and you can get that much money in incentives. I hope this guy can play 18 games, and I hope he earns the maximum of money because he does deserve that. And if he plays 18 games, he's going to be very solid. But I don't like to be negative, but I really only see him playing around 14 games, I think, around there, just because his injury history. But you never know. It's a new season. Anything could happen. So, Boy Green, let's start there. What were your thoughts on that contract and that kind of signing?
To be honest, I hope he plays 21 games, baby. That means we're going to the Super Bowl, baby. But no, even if let's go to your prediction that it's 13, 14 games. Sign me up. A second-team All-Pro for 13, 14 games is a dramatic improvement over what we had last year with 13 different combinations, 13 different offensive line combinations for the season. And if anyone's been watching my show, shameless plug, Boy Green Daily or anything Boy Green, you guys know that I've been saying it since December that my number one target was Tyron Smith. He's a guy I wanted. You mentioned the Woody show when we were talking a couple days ago or something. In that show, my first call, if I was running the Jets, would have been Tyron Smith. And the fact that he wasn't their first call, obviously, and they were able to get him in general. Because again, initially on the stream, we ended up being live for like 2 hours. Initially on the stream, we just heard 1 year deal for up to $20 million. And even then, with the possible, it sounded like it could have been a huge overpay. I was still fine with it because of how important it was. What's up, Italian Eddie Ralph, new subscriber to Connor here on New York Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate you, brother. And even with the potential overpay, I was cool with it. But to hear after $6.5 million guaranteed, $13.5 million in incentives, some of them reachable, some of them we'll see. It's all gravy, baby. That was my favorite signing. It was the one I wanted. The Jets listen to me. The more they do that, the better off things will be because I'm amazing and I'm awesome. And I say smart things that the Jets should follow, obviously. So that's our brand new left tackle. He's one of the best left tackles in football. He's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And now we have a Hall of Famer blocking for a Hall of Famer. You can't beat that.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the signing, but I think it's incredible that we got him. But honestly, I'm really excited to see him play. But personally, my favorite part about the signing is now we can go anywhere in the draft. Like we can go in any direction possible, whether it's trade back. Obviously, we saw the tweet from you that you played from I forgot her name, who was talking about it.
Anita
Yes,
Marks.
yes.
Yeah.
Who was talking on 98.7 about possibly trading back, and I've been team trade back, and I'm not gonna be opposed to it, but I was talking about this with Gunny from Jet Situation Report, I believe yesterday it was, and I personally said one of the only scenarios I'd be upset with. It's crazy that I'm saying this though, but now with all the depth, the only scenario I'd be upset with is Fuaga at 10, just because I think Fuaga's solid, and I'm like if. There's Bowers is probably going to be there at 10. I'd take Bowers over Fuaga. If Fashanu's off the board and we're still team offensive tackle, trade back, get Fatanu, but that's only if you're still team offensive tackle. I think Adonai Mitchell is a solid option. I think Brian Thomas Jr. if we trade back. Keon Coleman, I think I might have mentioned it with you, was another really, really solid option that I like but that's Brian Thomas Jr. and Adonai Mitchell are probably like the 15 to 20 range versus Keon Coleman's like the 20 to 30 kind of range. So all different ranges, but my ideal scenario right now, I said it the night I went on that stream about Tyron Smith at 9:30 in my pajamas. I said would be my number one option at 10 if he's available. I think there's a slim chance that he's there, but if we can get him, that would be incredible. Like some guys have him going to 12. I think it was Bucky Brooks had him like a little later, but Daniel Jeremiah had him third overall ahead of Marvin Harrison, I believe it was. So I'm like, so many different perspectives from all these analysts. I just hope I really want a playmaker. I wouldn't be opposed to offensive line, but at this point, we got this. But people can make a case that we should still go offensive line. I heard it it might have been a Twitter space with Paul and Joe earlier today, and they were saying that it wasn't them, but it was someone in the space that was saying we can't stop building this offensive line since we only have two veterans on a 1-year deal. Like there's a good chance that I hope this doesn't happen. I hope these guys get extensions and play great, but there's a chance that we're in this same situation 2 or 3 years down the road. So I wouldn't be upset if we went out and got like a blue chip guy like Fashanu or Alt, got them in there and then had them for the future.
No, that would make a lot of sense. First off, Connor, what's your draft eligibility? Are you eligible for this draft? We could go anywhere at 10. Maybe Connor is a good long-term investment potentially in the Jets content creator community. No, I think they could go in any direction. You mentioned a lot of them. Offensive tackle still makes sense. Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith are both 33 years of age. So, and they're both last year of their deal / only year of their deal in Tyron Smith's case.
Yeah.
So, it would make sense potentially to dip your toe in those waters. The receivers intrigue me a lot. Put another guy opposite of Garrett Wilson and have two young bona fide studs at the wide receiver position for the next decade plus, hopefully, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or whoever the hell is going to be throwing the football during that period of time. Brock Bowers as a pass catcher would be fascinating. But with a lot of these, I think there is an elite group, blue chippers, as we call them in the business, of Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., that kind of group. Joe Alt, obviously, that if those are on the board, I'm too tempted. I'm not trading back. Like, sorry, I'm going to Dave Gettleman it. I'm not answering the phone. I'm taking Saquon Barkley. We're not thinking about it. Like a couple of those guys are on the board. I'm not listening to calls. See you later, suckers. I'm taking something that can dramatically change the fortunes of our franchise. However, to your point, if all those guys are gone, and then we're talking about second, third wave of tackles, right? Tyler Guyton, Mims, go in any direction you want. Those guys I'm really intrigued by with the trade back scenarios. Even Brock Bowers potentially trade back a handful of slots, pick up some draft capital. The Anita Marks interview, Rich Cimini was talking about dropping into the 14-15 range. That, according to the draft value charts, around a third round pick comp. And it depends on the teams. Like, for instance, the Saints don't have a second or third. So then you're really getting froggy with how you're trying to figure out the comp back and forth. The draft value chart isn't the end-all, be-all. There's other ways to skin a cat and to get different kinds of draft compensation for the New York Jets. But I'm intrigued by the trade back because the Jets could go on that wave where all the players are kind of graded similarly and you get the most juice out of the orange. So right now I'm leaning towards either one of the dynamic receivers or Joe Alt. And if those guys aren't on the board, then I'm trading back.
Yep, I agree. Staying with the topic of receivers in the draft, two things from Wild Wave. Actually, the one he just typed in, but going back what he said earlier, the Jets said they had private meetings with Troy Franklin. For those who don't know, Troy Franklin's a wide receiver out of Washington, kind of the 1-2 punch between him and Romo Dunze. Wide receiver is definitely in the cards at pick 10. I'll let you go first on this one, Boy Green.
Yeah. Troy Franklin's actually the Oregon receiver that's coming up. Yeah, no, that's okay. The other one you're talking about, I think, is Chad Polk. Isn't he the other?
Jalen Polk, I think.
Jalen Polk, right.
Jalen Polk is the guy I'm thinking, and his stock. Don't mean to cut you off, but his stock was here at going into Mobile, and then it came out like he was like a late third round, fourth kind of guy, and now he's coming in, and he's going to be like probably a second round pick.
Yeah. Troy at 10 would be that'd send some shockwaves around the NFL draft if he went that rich, in my opinion. I don't know if a private meeting with Troy Franklin, is, whoa, baby, it's there at 10. I'm not sure if that's what that means. But what I would say is that you'd have to trade back dramatically pretty far for Troy Franklin to enter the conversation. But still, with the Jets, everything's on the table. If it's a dramatic trade back, remember, this was a bunch of years ago, and I'm sure the Buffalo Bills don't feel great about it now. They traded back from 10 to 27, and they got Tre'Davious White and a bunch of picks, a future first and everything else. Of course, the team that traded up was the Kansas City Chiefs. They got some guy named Patrick Mahomes. So you have to be careful with how far you trade back. But that was one situation that they had where it was going from 10 to 27, but everything's on the board for the Jets. They could stay in that top 15, still pick up assets, and maybe if a quarterback slips, the current conversation is 4 in the top 6, so maybe the quarterback conversation's out of it for the Jets' sake. But what if J.J. McCarthy slips? What if all of a sudden there's a buzz for Penix or Nix, and then someone wants to get to 10? You can charge a quarterback tax to those teams that are behind you and get even more compensation than you normally would according to the value chart. That's another thing that's potentially at play. So a big trade back, small trade back. The Texans, you just saw it with the Vikings trade, and they're doing it a month and a half in advance. They traded out of the first round, but got a ton of extra capital, including a 2025 too. So those kind of creative possibilities are on the table. But for the Jets, again, the most important piece of this puzzle is not trading back. If an absolute stud is on the board, you're on an all-in season right now. So if you believe a guy's a superstar, you have to pull the trigger and go with it. Again, it is intriguing potentially. Drop a few spots, get a second-round pick, maybe a Patrick Paul or one of those second-wave tackles early in the second round that you could potentially dip your toe into. That's intriguing to me because then you can hit multiple areas of concern.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna touch on one thing from Wild Wave, and then one thing that you mentioned that had to do with the value chart. So Wild Wave's thing is the whole private meeting thing. I don't think that really means much. I mean, the Jets met with Caleb Williams. Like, there's just like so many who knows? He falls to 10, maybe. I don't know, but probably a better chance of getting struck by lightning than Caleb Williams falling to the 10th overall pick. But I don't know. I don't think the meetings really mean much. I think they're just trying to get to know the receivers. And Boy Green, I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I had no idea about a draft value chart until I called into your show and you mentioned the value chart. And I've been on it about 12,000 times since then. But it's really interesting because you can really compare a trade comp. Like what you mentioned, trading up one pick for Romo Dunze our late 4th round pick would be an overpay. And I would do that deal in a heartbeat if he falls to 9. I would do that all day. Trade up straight up
Yeah.
one pick and a late fourth for a guy who's going to be a star in this league, I think at least that's a great deal.
So as Connor, as you're learning this draft value chart, which will become your friend, very in mock draft
Mm.
scenarios and all this other stuff, again, I don't think it's the end all be all. It's not the Bible. It's not like these teams are like,
Mm.
let me see, page 22. Yes, we get a this and a this. But I think it is a guideline for fans to kind of understand value, and I think it's really
Yes.
intriguing. And also, to your point, there's a little bit of a touchy feely aspect. To your point, right? The value chart says it would be an overpay for this, but you're like, it's Roma Dunze, baby. Send the fourth. So sometimes you use your tape,
Yeah.
you use your evaluations on one side of the puzzle to say we believe this guy's a stud and we're more than willing to pay the price. We will overpay the price to make sure we get our guy. So that's what makes a draft really cool, that sometimes you have the Bible, you have the rule book, but you're like, hey, this is an exception to the rule. Let's get froggy. Let's make a move. But yeah, I'm glad that you're learning about the draft value chart. I loved it when I was a kid, and even as I'm growing up now, I love the draft. I love consuming it. I love seeing possibilities, because every time, like a Rich Samini or something, in this particular case with the Anita Marks interview on ESPN 98.7, like when he talks about trades,
Mhm.
the first thing I do is open up a new tab. I'm like, draft value chart, and I like go, oh, could take a third and 2/5, fifth and 4/5. And I'm just doing the math. I'm going beep boop bop, and I'm trying to figure everything out. Like, oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, because you could really compare, but I think it's a different scenario with different players if you really think about it. Because there could be like a star player, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I do this," but no GM is like it's really all in my opinion, like what the GM really sees. Because I I don't know, I've heard the Jets really like Fuaga. Maybe I'm making it up. Joe Douglas thinks Tyrese Fuaga is going to be the next Joe Thomas, and then Howie Roseman. I'm just making up names. The
Yeah.
Eagles GM thinks he's gonna be equivalent to like the Jamarcus Russells of left tackles, and it really all depends on like the GM's vision. But let's get back to the chat.
Sure.
Gator, hey fellers,
Oh yeah.
Gator made the sick intro for us. Good to see you on this fine green day too. Questions: what would you say is the crash ceiling on a Mike Williams signing? And if that fails, who are the next targets for wide receiver? Cheers. I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, shout out to Gator for the let me excuse my Guatemalan here, but the bomb ass intro. I mean, that is just phenomenal for Connor. It looks so cool. A professionalism for you, Connor.
It's
And
great. It's
yeah,
great.
this channel is blowing up so fast, and I'm
Thank
so
you. I
happy for your
appreciate it.
success.
Thank
The
you.
cash ceiling on a Mike Williams signing. So he's visiting tomorrow, Monday. That's March 18th. My cash ceiling for me on a Mike Williams
Mhm.
signing, 7-8 million, probably. That's
Mhm.
probably the range of where I'm willing to go. It'll be interesting to see what he gets. I mean, that's probably the ballpark, for that I'm willing to go. There's the injury history. Like I said, the thing I always go back to, and it's not as dramatic as people say. It's not like, he's missed 40 games of the last 4 years or anything, but I'm just always concerned about that neck thing from college that I saw back in the day. Even though he's had a lot of productive seasons in between, that thing kind of scares me a little bit. And he's coming off a torn ACL, and players react differently. Now, it's not a career killer by any means, but sometimes people are slow to bring him back. And I imagine Mike Williams, whether it's with the Jets or anybody, signing a 1-year deal. So if you have him for 1 year and he's kind of questionable for the front half of the year, that's a tough signing for the Jets. But he's super talented. He's a star. He would be great on this team. He'd be serving that wide receiver 2 or 3 role, depending on who they draft as well, because they're going to add multiple bodies to this position. So I'm probably in that cash ceiling off the top of my head. 7-8 million range is where I'd be willing to go for him. If we start getting froggy and it's a lot more than that, I don't think I'm willing to go in that category. And if that fails, who are the next targets for wide receiver? I guess if that fails, we're talking about veteran wide receivers. I'm still in on Tyler Boyd. I'm curious what the market is. It's been a lot of days. Days keep coming. I heard you talking a little bit about it before I hopped on. So as the days continue, his price tag in my mind continues to drop. It seems like it's between the Steelers and the Jets for his services. He's a really good player, good size, a lot of production. In terms of that floor, it's not like he's an all-pro or anything, but he's just a rock-solid guy, and it's good to have rock-solid guys on the team. So Tyler Boyd makes sense. And my personal target, baby, Odell Beckham Jr. I know me and Connor argued about this the other day, baby. Rich Samini said you got to keep an eye on it. He's my boy. I love OBJ. want him on the team. I think it'd be a 1-year deal with incentives. He wants to play with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wants to play with him, and him as a wide receiver 3 along with a rookie, I think would be a dynamic addition to this team, because I think he could take advantage of playing against third corners. I think he would perform very well. And again, just watch the games. Don't look at the stats. Just watch the games of OBJ playing, and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. There's some chutzpah there. There's some juice. OBJ, baby.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind OBJ if we got like insurance, like a Neighbors or someone. And like I think Garrett, OBJ, and like a Neighbors, Odunze, someone Byron Thomas Jr., Adonai Mitchell, those three, that 1, 2, 3, I would really like that. But I remember the Mike Williams signing. I was actually on the call on your show, and the guy, I don't remember his name. I think you might have mentioned it, but DM'd you on Twitter. He said DMs you all the breaking news, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a Carolina beat writer who you
Correct.
said reported that Mike Williams was going to visit the Jets and the Panthers. And, I think I definitely want to get after these visits are over with Clowney, Boyd, Williams, these guys. I really want to get I want to get Sabini back on the show so I can really, or someone like a Jeremy Fowler, someone like that who could really tell me how like the visit went. I want someone who's really close to the team to really talk me and the listeners through on how the visit went. But I hope those
Me
hope
too.
those visits
I'll be listening for sure. Yeah, I want those deets, baby. Yeah.
I hope the visit goes well. I mean, Dalvin Cook, basically, from the understanding, I remember you had Jeremy Fowler on your show right
Yes.
after that visit last year in the summer,
Yeah,
and and you guys, he was saying from his understanding the visit went really well, and then Dalvin Cook ends up signing with the Jets. But at the time, I can't give Joe Douglas crap for that signing. I thought that was at the time, I thought that was a really, really good signing. He
Me
just
too.
didn't play.
Me too.
He just didn't play the way we thought he was gonna. But I've said it time in and time out. We needed a backup plan if Brees wasn't at full strength. Like, we needed a backup plan. Who knows? There's a chance he comes off that ACL and looks like Saquon Barkley the year after Saquon's ACL tears. That's why I liked it. You got a backup plan in place. Joe Douglas was aggressive, kind of sealed the deal. But hoping these visits go well. I wouldn't mind to see all three of them in the green and white for 2024.
Yeah, oh, that'd be awesome. And I see all those wide receivers behind you. Give me Wayne Corbett, Garrett Wilson, Wesley Walker. Yeah, give me any of those guys, baby. That'd be nice too. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The big three. That was my idea when I was putting the signed jerseys up. So Garrett Wilson, I got it signed at the Commanders game this year. He signed my
Nice.
jersey for me at the Commanders game. Wesley Walker sent me a signed jersey from him,
So
and I was
cool.
like, okay, so we have like the two wide receivers. Now I got to get a Corbett jersey, and then we could put the Corbett jersey up. And the evolution of the Jets receivers. That's the kind of way I went with it. But one more question, Boyd Green, before we let you go. If you could pick one of these three guys, I have a feeling it's going to be one of the wide receivers. But if you could pick one of the three, Mike Williams, Boyd, or Clowney, come to the Jets, who would it be and why?
Oof. Wow. Mike Williams, Tyler Boyd, or Jadeveon Clowney. Actually, I'm going to go Jadeveon Clowney is actually where I'm going to go. Again, I can't say enough good things about him. He's an elite run stuffer. Since entering the league in 2014, he ranks in the top 6 in run defense, according to Pro Football Focus, among edge rushers in that time. He's dynamic, and I know that doesn't beyond those kind of analytics, that doesn't show up in the normal stats that you see, but he's elite against the run. And he's got pass rush juice that I believe can be further unlocked with this Jet scheme. He had 9.5 sacks last year, had a career year, played on $2.5 million. I'd be curious kind of the money on Clowney coming off that year and playing for the Jets and what that could look like. But I think he'd be further unlocked playing with guys like Quinnen and Jermaine Johnson and Javon Kinlaw and JFM and all these guys. I think he could reach even a higher level than that, perhaps getting his first double-digit sack season of his career. The other receivers are nice. But I just kind of feel like I know what Clowney is, and I know what the Jets need, and it's one of the more underrated needs, trying to get one of those other edge rushers. Because tell me this, out of those three names, you get Clowney, I think you finished up, relatively speaking, with your edge rushers, and then beyond your list, you get me a rookie and OBJ. I like the receiver room. So I think there are other creative ways to attack that baby. And I think edge rushers are running out a lot quicker than wide receivers. The wide receiver thing was already pretty shallow after the tags and everything else. Edge rusher, I feel like there's only a few left that I would bang the table for. Wide receivers like Boyd, I'm like, he'd be nice. Mike Williams, he'd be nice. But they all come with their risks. They all come with their red
Yeah.
flags. For Clowney, I just feel like he's got such a you just know what you're getting. Elite run stuffing, boom. That's not a question. The pass rushing juice, you're getting that. Like, you know exactly what you're getting from Clowney in any scheme, any situation. That part makes me feel very comfortable about making that kind of free agent splurge.
I respect the Clowney opinion, but the way I'm going to go is I'm going to go with Mike Williams. I know
Okay.
he's been injured. I really like Boyd. I'm going to look at Boyd before I say why I like Williams. The reason I'm not, I'd rather have Williams over Boyd is Williams, he had the ACL tear, and everyone's acting like he's tore his ACL every season he played football. I don't know why, but he's torn his ACL once, and he's just had a couple injuries, but I think he could bounce back. Boyd, the reason I'm not going to go with him is he hasn't proven he can be a number 2 guy. I think he's capable of being a number 2 guy, but he's been kind of like the tucked away in the corner and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins spotlight, and he's kind of the guy who just kind of is like let's make a comparison. Not Alan Lazard,
But he
but
cleans up. I see what you're saying, though. Like, he's
yeah,
not the main squeeze, and he's taking advantage of the fact that attention's elsewhere on the offense. I got you.
yeah. I like him though, but I'd rather have Williams just because he's proven, like him and Keenan Allen, who's an elite wide receiver. Who from I saw it on your tweet. I've heard it that the Jets were in on Keenan Allen. You made Boyd Green Daily about that today, but I think Keenan Allen's elite. And Mike Williams was a compliment to Keenan Allen. He has experience being a number 2 guy behind an elite receiver. Why not just bring him to Florham Park and pair him with Garrett Wilson? Like, that duo, I would really like to see in it, especially if he could stay healthy. I really like Clowney. Get him for cheap, I'd take it, and then Boyd, I'd take him. My number 1 option right now is trading for Courtland Sutton, but Rich Samini told me that he does not think Sean Payton would want to give up his whole receiver room after trading Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
good.
but my number 1 option is still trading for Courtland Sutton. I don't know how realistic it is. Most realistic way for me, probably going with Mike Williams and OBJ. I know I'm not too huge on him, but I could definitely see the Jets landing him just because they had a long slew of negotiations last year. So why not just pick it up where it left off and get a deal done? Bring them in. There are all different kinds of ways. You can make a case that all 4 can come and join. Very unlikely but you can give your reasoning why all 4 of those guys suit best on this team. Like, you can
don't give up. I want to make sure you're clear. I know you want Courtland Sutton. Don't give up, because you want to know how many people called me an idiot when I said, hey, Keenan Allen would be a good fit. They're like, we're not trading him, you dumb boy green. You're an idiot. There's no way we trade him. All these Charger fans flooded my comments, and I would have given them a lot more crap if the Jets got him, and I would have just spent all day just eating my popcorn laughing at those Charger fans. So you know what? Stick by your ethics, stick by your morals, stick by your take. You want Courtland Sutton, try to speak it into existence. I've been on the Devontae Adams train for a while. Everyone calls me an idiot almost on a daily basis about that take, saying there's no way he gets traded. People said there's no way Keenan Allen got traded, and boom, he got traded. So
4th round pick. I would have given up a 4th round pick for Keenan Allen, 100%.
I would have given up my grandmother for Keenan Allen. I would have been doing whatever it takes to get KA, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, he's legit. But Boy Green, thank you for joining us. Any final thoughts?
No, I just love coming on the show. It's an
Love
honor.
having you.
Yeah, you get so many freaking superstars on the show, and deservedly so. So, like the video, subscribe, baby. Let's keep growing this channel, and let's enjoy this Connor, while we have him. We got to go get all the 3 Connors together, but enjoy this Connor while we have him before he becomes some superstar and forgets who we little people are. So, I'm just trying to hold on for dear life, Connor.
Thank you, Boy Green. I appreciate it, everyone. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, JETS, 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 Jets. Thank you.